Hey guys, back today with another Love Dare. Today is day 27, and it's Love Encourages. Psalm 25:20 says, Guard my soul and deliver me. Do not let me be ashamed, for I take refuge in you. Marriage has a way of altering our vision. We go in expecting our mate to fulfill our hopes and make us happy, but this is an impossible order to fill, so our unrealistic expectations breed disappointment. The higher your expectations, the more likely your spouse will fail you and cause you frustration. If a wife always expects her husband to be on time, read her mind, and understand all her needs, if he always expects her to look radiant, to blindly support his decisions, and stay emotionally ready for sex, both of them will set each other up for daily failure. They will likely live most of their married lives in constant disappointment. But if they're really realistic, uh, but if they are realistic enough to understand that their spouse is human, occasionally forgetful, and sometimes weak and thoughtless, they'll be more delighted when their mate is responsible, loving, and kind. Divorce is nearly inevitable when people refuse to allow their spouses to be human. So make a transition in your thinking. Choose to live by encouragement rather than expectations. The way your spouse has been for the last 10 years is probably what he or she will be like in the future, apart from your loving encouragement and an intervention from God. That's why love puts the focus on personal responsibility and improving ourselves rather than on demanding more from others. Jesus painted a picture of this when he said, How can you say to your brother, Let me take the speck out of your eye, and behold, the log is in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the log out of your own eye, and then you'll see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. That's in Matthew 7:4 and 5. Does your spouse feel like they're living with a speck inspector? Are they routinely on edge, fearful of not living up to your expectations? Would they say they spend most days sensing more of your disapproval than your acceptance? Perhaps you'd respond by saying that the problem is not with you, but with them. If they really do come up short in a lot of areas, why is that your fault? As far as you're concerned, it takes both of you doing everything you can for your marriage to work. Your mate may think you're overly critical, but you feel the issues you bring up are legitimate. You're not saying you're perfect, but it seems like you should be able to point out genuine problem areas, right? The problem with this mentality is that few people are able to respond to criticism with joyful inspiration. When it seems clear to your spouse that you're unhappy with them, whether by direct confrontation or the silent treatment, it's hard for them to feel deflated instead of motivated. It's hard for them not to feel deflated instead of motivated. After all, unlike any other friendship, our relationship began with both of you willingly bending over backwards to please the other. You never expected to reach the point where you think nearly everything they do is wrong and you're struggling at times with even liking this person. When hopes are daily doused with cold reality, your natural reaction is to communicate ongoing frustration with them. But sadly, rather than this making them want to correct things, your disapproval only makes them want to walk away or dig in deeper. Love is too smart for that. Instead of putting your mate in a position to rebel, love says to give them the grace and room to be themselves. Even if you're the goal-oriented type who places high demands on yourself, love calls you to lead by example, but not to force those same standards on your mate's performance. Marriage is a relationship to be enjoyed and savored along the way. It's a unique friendship designed by God Himself where two people live together in flawed imperfection, yet deal with it by encouraging and building, not by exhausting and belittling. The Bible says, encourage the exhausted and strengthen the feeble. It's Isaiah 35:3. Encourage one another and build up one another. Encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, be patient with everyone. It's 1 Thessalonians 5:11 and then 14. Don't you want married life to be a place where you can enjoy free expression of who you are, growing within a safe environment that encourages you even when you fail? Your spouse does too, and your love gives them that privilege. If your wife or husband has told you on more than one occasion that you make them feel beaten down and defeated, then you need to take those words to heart. You can either be a critical anchor holding them back or a complimentary wing helping them soar. Being with you should recharge them and lower their stress level, not drain them and wear them out. God is not done with your spouse yet, so let him work. Stop expecting your mate to understand all your thinking, desire all your wanting, and accomplish all your hoping. As much as they may wish they could, they can't. Instead, let them be inspired by your appreciation. Let them be empowered by your sincere prayers and your strategic praise. Focus on their strengths and point out what they're getting right. Let your words lift them to a new height. Then the person they're created by God to be may emerge with a new confidence and with a love that inspires you for years to come. So here's today's dare. Eliminate the poison of unrealistic expectations in your home. Think of one or two areas where your spouse has told you that you're expecting too much, and tell them you're sorry for being so hard on them about it. Praise them for something positive and assure them of your unconditional love. Another thing that really helps is to continue to go back to the personal responsibility thing. We really can't change anybody. No human can change another human, but we can influence them. And when we're taking full responsibility for our own mess, to get the speck out of our own eye, you can only do that by knowing the Lord. And when you have a relationship with God who's filling you with an unconditional love and who is always encouraging and calling you up, God doesn't call us out, he calls us up. And even when he convicts us of sin, it's a positive thing. I mean, it's positive when you see what you're doing wrong and that you get to say, oh, I changed my mind about that. I take that off. I put that away. I put on this beautiful thing, God, that you're giving me. And he encourages you and tells you who you really are, this person who's filled with him and all these beautiful characteristics. See, when you have that real of a relationship with God and you've repented of expecting too much from your husband or wife, because most people get into marriages thinking that this person is going to be for them everything that they need, and they end up being two ticks sucking on each other, and there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Marriage is meant for holiness, not for happiness. Now, when you begin to know the Lord and you begin to walk in the holiness of God, in a real love relationship with God, you're going to be happy, I promise you. But then you're going to be more like God in your relationship to them, which is I'm going to be encouraging them. I'm going to be calling them up, not calling them out. And you're going to figure out that it really does work. God's way does work, the way of encouragement and love and bearing up underneath one another. Encouragement. And so it's a good word. It's definitely true. Praying over your marriages, and hope God is very real to you in the days now that you're seeking him. So bless you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.